The OLED Steam Deck of my dreams is finally here. Took them long enough too. There are many questions that need to be answered. Many questions that may have been answered already in other reviews, but other questions only I can ask and answer. Earlier, my Steam Deck OLED arrived, and now that it's in my hands, my god, it feels so glorious. It's not as immediately obvious that what you're unboxing is in fact a Steam Deck, but if you look closer, you can tell that yes, it is a Steam Deck, but you can't tell if it's like a regular old LCD deck or if it's an OLED deck. And yes, even with the limited edition version, it's packaged in a very similar fashion. No, you don't get a fancy box or anything, but that's okay. First and foremost is the charging cable. The charging cable has a slightly new design, having the Steam Deck insignia on the main unit itself, and it's also longer. That's cool, but I already have like a million different chargers, so we're just gonna not bother with that for now. And here is the creme de la creme, the Steam Deck OLED. Inside the case, of course, is the Steam Deck OLED itself, but first let's talk about what comes with the OLED. Aside from the unit itself, which by the way looks beautiful, we'll comment more on that later, it comes with a microfiber cloth, and it comes with the egg bag. You know, I've never bought the highest end Steam Deck, even when it first came out, so I never got the egg bag or microfiber cloth, so it is a welcome addition. The case itself is neat, though we will cover the case later. The setup process for the Steam Deck OLED is very similar to the Steam Deck LCD, if not exactly the same. And of course, the device needs to be updated. And yes, even after that update, if you're among the first to get an OLED Steam Deck, you will need to get a firmware update. It's one of the first things you need to do. And yes, this will take some time. Yeah, I know, you want to play games immediately, but you know, you gotta update the systems and whatnot. That's how modern gaming works these days, don't you know? I find that signing into your Steam Deck is a much easier process if you have a phone. You can scan the QR code and you're ready to go. Yes, this is the Steam Deck experience you know and love. So first, we're going to go over all of the stuff you get with the limited edition version of the Steam Deck. For starters, you get an exclusive version of the Steam Deck Startup. Look, see? It's red instead of blue. And it's a very nice touch, given that this is a red device, not a blue device. I suspect they're gonna do this with different colors as they release more colorways, if they do that, of course. Curiously, if you never bought a 512GB Steam Deck, then you get the exclusive keyboard as well from that SKU, so yeah, see? And on top of that, since I bought the limited edition version, or OLED I guess, I get a cool little keyboard right there. It is very cool, but guess what? CSS Loader exists and you can customize the keyboard through that instead. Still though, very cool. The limited edition version of the Steam Deck looks very different. It features Valve's shade of red, or orange? Is it red or orange? I don't know. But in my opinion, seeing it in person, it looks gorgeous. And the plastic being like semi-translucent, it's just chef's kiss. Yeah, I know, it's not atomic purple, but I'm gonna level with you. I'm not a boomer. By the time I was old enough to game, PS2 was already out. So it looks very nice. I will say, I wish more aspects of the device had the orange or red color. Like, I wish the buttons were orange or red, but honestly, that's the only complaint I've got. Also included with the Steam Deck OLED is the carrying case. So first and foremost, before I talk about the case, I want to talk about what's included. Inside the case is a microfiber cloth. I love these things. These things should be included with every Steam Deck moving forward, even the low tier models, but that's just me. And I like the case. The case looks very nice and it's got a nice internal pattern within. And the case has a unique little party trick where you can rip the liner out from the outer shell itself, revealing a case within a case. The very first time I did this, it felt really weird, like I'm tearing apart the case with my bare hands, but trust me when I say you're not. So you got this removable internal liner, but you also have this outside shell. By itself, the outside shell doesn't do anything. You need the inside liner within it to make this outside shell function. But anyways, the internal liner is where you hold your device, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I like the concept. I hope Valve improves on the concept, but it feels very flimsy. Like, it doesn't feel very sturdy at all. Like, honestly, I would be like deathly afraid of my OLED being destroyed if I just left it in here and accidentally dropped the case itself. It's not a very sturdy case, and I have a couple of slim cases that are almost as slim as this, but they also feel like a million times more sturdy. They could survive a drop. But the entire case itself is a very cool concept, and I'd hope that Valve does improve on the concept. Objectively, it is better than the old Steam Deck case, but honestly, you're nothing special. You're not missing out if you don't get this case. And honestly, I would still use my aftermarket cases anyways, despite the fact that this is supposed to be a limited edition case, you know? So let's talk about the main selling point, the display. The Steam Deck's colors were not great. It's the one Achilles heel to the entire Steam Deck experience, but you know what? I still loved it anyways because it was a Steam Deck. But now the OLED exists, and OLED is good. The OLED screen is better in literally every conceivable way. Better color accuracy, better color production, better viewing angles. It gets both dimmer and brighter. Better contrast ratio, true black colors. It even has a higher refresh rate, which no one really asked for, but it's very much appreciated. The regular Steam Deck goes up to 60 Hz, whereas this one goes up to 90 Hz. I will say this, major AAA titles will not run better. They will look better because of the better colors, but they don't run better. They don't run at a higher frame rate. Many of them won't even hit 60 FPS on the Steam Deck. So yes, for those major AAA titles, you probably won't be able to take advantage of the 90 Hz. Thankfully though, I play a lot of indie titles, and indie titles can definitely make use of that 90 Hz display. And yes, as expected, it feels a lot smoother. It is difficult to showcase in a video because a lot of you are probably going to be watching on a 60 Hz display. If you're watching this video from a 60 Hz display, yeah, obviously you can't see the 90 Hz benefits, but if you go to a Best Buy and you see a high refresh rate display on display and you try it out for yourself, you can see the difference immediately just by moving your mouse. It's a crazy world of difference, and it makes games a lot more responsive. That's why all of the high-end gaming stuff is moving towards higher and higher refresh rates. Even consoles go beyond 60 Hz now. But that's not the main selling point of the Steam Deck OLED. The main selling point of the Steam Deck OLED is that it has better colors and it has a better contrast ratio. What this means is, compared to the LCD Steam Deck that you may have right now, the OLED Steam Deck has better color accuracy, and the contrast between colors is a lot better. You can see true blacks and whites on the same screen at the same time without there being any sort of weird haloing effects. This benefit is most pronounced when you play a lot of really colorful, really stylized games. But even during really drab, realistic, brownish games, you can still see a difference too, especially when lighting is concerned. Also worth mentioning is that this display supports HDR, though if I had to be honest with you, when a game supports HDR, you can tell the difference. Things look brighter and darker simultaneously. The better colors and the better contrast ratios, especially with HDR, makes a much bigger visual impact than, say, I don't know, cranking up the eye candy in a game, or perhaps even raising the resolution in a game as well. Of course, HDR is a game-by-game basis. Not every game supports it. So the conclusion is, if you want a better Steam Deck screen, then the OLED is the way to go. But I hear what y'all are saying. Doesn't OLED have burn-in? And the answer is yes. Even in 2023, OLEDs can still get burn-in, but only on a technical basis, because the chances of you actually burning in your screen is very minimal at best. Yes, games do have static elements, games have life bars, sometimes they have mini-maps, a crosshair even, but unless you're keeping your Steam Deck on 24/7 for a couple of months straight, you're not even gonna see signs of burn-in, period. And that's if you have it on max brightness at all times. Most TV rating sites like RTings, they do OLED burn-in tests, and you know what they do? Their testing methodology is very much stress test based, 20 hours a day of usage. And if I had to be honest, I don't think that's too realistic. But in regular use case, you probably won't see burn-in for a really long time. At least without trying to deliberately burn in your own OLED by yourself, given regular usage. And of course, Valve still has their warranty. I haven't had to RMA anything through Valve yet, but they do say display issues are also covered under their warranty as well. Not to mention, you can buy a replacement OLED panel from iFixit and swap it out yourself if you're adventurous. And I know what you're thinking, can't I buy an OLED panel and retrofit that into my LCD Steam Deck? No, you can't. Despite the fact that the OLED deck performs very similarly to the LCD deck, It's basically entirely new hardware. Okay, so enough about the display. Let's talk about the third major difference. Battery life. Battery life is great. The Steam Deck's original battery life was excellent as is, except for, you know, modern AAA titles. It consistently lost to the Legion Go. But now the Steam Deck is back with a vengeance. I haven't done a full battery test yet, but I plan on doing that in a separate video. Same format as my previous battery tests. But I can speak anecdotally, and anecdotally, this feels more longer lasting than the original Steam Deck. I mean, I really shouldn't be surprised. There's a bigger battery and a more efficient APU in here. And even running at 90 Hz, it feels longer lasting than the original Steam Deck. I mean, that's always a plus. It feels longer and I can play video games for longer. It's a win-win situation. Now, I will tell you this, I don't have the numbers yet, and that's going to be a separate video. That's right, I'm putting an OLED panel on the line for a battery test. So stick around and find out. But there's also a number of other improvements as well. Immediately from the get-go, the buttons feel significantly better. Face buttons start and select the bumpers, the triggers, and heck, even the Steam and quick access menu buttons have been greatly improved, and both of those were the single worst buttons on the original LCD Steam Deck. One of the worst buttons I've ever felt, and now they feel great. The stick tops are made of a different material, and it feels a lot more rubbery. I think I prefer the texture of the older stick more than this new rubbery feel, but the older stick had this weird issue where you could like scratch off some of the material, and I guess that's probably why they changed it. Still though, the sticks feel pretty good. I will say the D-pad feels a little stiffer than the original Steam Deck, and I think I have to break it in to really make use of it. Like, yeah, I've had some misinputs playing Guilty Gear Accent Core Plus R, but I just gotta get used to the new D-pad. And of course, let's not forget trackpads. The haptics on the trackpad feel substantially better. You know, I was kind of disappointed that the Steam Deck didn't feel as good as the Steam controller's haptics, but now they feel a lot better, especially during dual trackpad typing. Like, yes, functionally, it's identical to the Steam Deck LCD. And of course, it feels so much better. The haptics are way stronger. I don't typically use trackpads unless the games just don't use controller support, but like, these feel so good, I have to go out of my way to use them. They're just that addicting. As for gyro functionality doesn't really feel any different to me. The controls feel like a straight improvement in literally every facet. When it comes to handheld devices, the Steam Deck OLED sets a new bar that no one has even come close to. Okay, like, yeah, I didn't put this next to my recording microphone that I'm using right now, so it's not a great audio test, but I will tell you this. The audio sounds a lot fuller than the original LCD Steam Decks. No, to my ears, the OLED doesn't sound any louder than the LCD decks, but the mids sound more prominent. For being an integrated speaker unit, the Steam Deck's original speakers were pretty good, but you know, like with most speakers, the mids kind of suffered, but now the mids suffer a lot less. It's another straight upgrade. I would go as far as to say it's a good listening experience for the casual user. Obviously, it doesn't compare to like your audio file setup, but like, yeah, most people don't have that. And plus, you can use the headphone jack as well. On the topic of audio, let's talk about Bluetooth. One of the new features was to wake the device from a Bluetooth device like a controller. Fan the Deck said he couldn't get it to work, but I managed to get it to work just fine. It doesn't require any special setup or anything. You just pair the controller, and then when it goes to sleep, you can wake it up with the controller. Literally, that's all I did. So I did get it to work with this controller. This reads as a Switch Pro controller, but honestly, you should try with your own controllers if you get an OLED Steam Deck. And the other major Bluetooth improvement is audio latency. And I can confirm there's less delay. Yes, there is some latency, but now, in my personal opinion, you can actually play games with Bluetooth audio. I still wouldn't recommend it for like rhythm games, but for regular like action games, yeah, go for it, dude. And I can't forget Wi-Fi 6E. I don't have a Wi-Fi 6E router, I have a mere Wi-Fi 6 router. Yes, this still downloads a lot faster than my old Steam Deck. As for the thermal systems, I'm not going to comment on that, not until I've had some more time with it, but immediately, the fan sounds quieter than my old Steam Steam Deck. And now for the hard questions. Should you buy the Steam Deck OLED? You are one of 3 people. 1. You don't have a Steam Deck, but you're interested. 2. You have a Steam Deck already, but you're interested. Or 3. You're either of those people, but you also have a Windows handheld. In my opinion, there's only one good reason to buy an LCD deck over the OLED deck, and that's price. Talking about just new units, you can buy an LCD deck for much cheaper than an OLED deck. But if you've got the cash to spare for an OLED Steam Deck, then buy that instead. The 3-tiered pricing structure actually hasn't changed one bit, but the OLED now only comes with the mid and high tier versions of the Steam Deck, so do keep that in mind. But what if you already have a Steam Deck? Then there isn't a real need to rush out to buy a new Steam Deck. Yes, the battery life is better, and yes, the screen is that much better. But if you're concerned about, already having a Steam Deck and, the Steam Deck 2 potentially being around the corner in like the next 2 or 3 years, then there's no rush to buy a Steam Deck OLED. But it is your money, and if you want to buy an OLED Steam Deck, then go for it, dude. I already have an old Steam Deck, and honestly, I think this was worth the purchase. But that's just me. But of course, what about those of you with Windows devices? What about the ROG Allies or the Lenovo Legionnaires? What about them? Well, that will have to be saved for another video. If you like this video, please press the like button and check out our other videos. And if you like those other videos as well, be sure to press the subscribe button and share the good gospel of high-tech lowlife with your friends. Furthermore, we have a community Discord for enlightened individuals such as you. And if you wish to further support high-tech lowlife, be sure to check out our Patreon page. Links in the description.